Today, we're going to begin going through the Russian STANKO power hammer, finding the things that we've got to fix, getting it up and running, fixing some of the stuff. But before we work on the power hammer, I want to do a little forging. I've got a Christmas gift to make. I'm going to make a corkscrew.
Today's episode is sponsored by Squarespace. You can get a free trial of their fantastic website building platform at squarespace.com/forge. And when you use code FORGE at checkout, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Today's the day to start building your website.
So that first wine bottle opener was a successful Christmas gift. We've had Christmas, I'm back in the workshop, and what I've been working on today is fashioning out the tool collection a little bit. I brought a very minimal selection of tools so I could leave a lot to be used in Montana. So while I've been here, I've made some stuff. And you saw a little earlier, I forged out these punches and chisels and fullers. And while those pieces were cooling down, I made this. This is another incredible tool I learned from Brian Brazil. He calls it a dial-a-hole. Essentially, we have a whole bunch of holes spinning over the hardy hole. We don't have the inch hole because I broke the cutter. But it allows us to drift with very minimal space between the drift and the supporting hole. We're going to finish it off by taking this piece here, heating it up, and driving it down into that countersink. Time to grind some of these tools. The tool collection is growing, but every time I look over here, I hear a faint whisper. A whisper from the dead. I can't quite understand the language, but it sounds like some sort of Slavic plea. So this is where the wire for the motor comes out. We're going to go ahead and have ourselves little junction box right here. Make up a bit of steel that we screw into the power hammer and we screw the junction box on. We've got something quite frustrating going on. The wire coming from the motor is just ever so short. It's so close, but that is as far as it'll go into the junction box. That's all we've got. Thought we were going to pull it off. I thought we had just enough, but alas, we don't. And this could be a problem because the motor is tucked way inside the insides of this thing. So wiring it up again is going to be a pain in the rear. Look how far up in there the box I'd need to reach where the cable is. Look how close it is. It's almost there. I could pull the cable down from under here, or we could have it so that junction box sits reset. I don't really know what we're going to do, but it's late in the day for me, and so, fingers crossed, something miraculous happens in my sleep, and I get the answer. See you in the morning. Okay, it's the morning. It's very cold. And unfortunately, I didn't have a dream where I was an electrician with intellect, and I came up with a solution, so I'm going to have to work it out now. All right, I'm still waiting for some little cable clamps to screw the cable into the machine, but hopefully... Hey! It works! Woohoo! Wow, that thing just sounds solid. It's got a beautiful huff and puff to it. What about a spot of forging? Whee! I like this machine. It feels lively, wobbling. That is wobbling. Look at this sound block. The internals of it back here sound phenomenal. There's no unnecessary rattling. But we have to do something about this sow block. And that is going to be the biggest challenge of all with this thing. All right, we've got the manual up here on the computer. And there's this lovely cutout, this lovely cross-section of the machine. Here are the dies, here is the sow block, and it looks like there is something connecting the sow block to the bottom of the anvil, right here. Okay, we've got it lifted up a ways. Oh, you can actually see this better than I can. We can get you all the way under there. What do we have? We have a bit of flat bar, 2 bolts, a round thing with a flat spot. Perhaps this bolt is broken. It feels pretty solid, but perhaps that bolt is broken. That's why the sow block is loose. Oh, but actually, check this out. It looks like they have some sort of matting between the sow block and the casting. I wonder if the iron and steel components are fine, but the matting has just degraded to pieces. Look at how deep in there that matting sits, and it's just completely rotted away. What's really frustrating about this is they have a part that is weak between 2 very hard parts getting hammered together, and the only way you can service it is presumably by taking out a big long rod from the underneath. Nope, that's not strong enough. Wow, that's tight. Ugh. This feels somewhat pointless. I feel like I've just wasted a lot of time. Oh, look at that. I can lift it, so the whole thing can wobble with the crowbar. This is what it looks like under the die of the machine. I've been going on Instagram trying to ask people's help. And I think I took the die off when I was there buying it. This was kind of my first thought, is that there'd be something screwing it down this way as opposed to from the underneath. Maybe we try and give this a twist. Come on. Oh! Is it happening? Oh! Yes! There we go. Get some. Oh, ta-da! So here is the huge bolt that we have pulled out of the machine. I've given it a little hit with the wire brush, so hopefully it goes in a little easier than it came out. I was sent a link to this Russian forum, was able to get it translated. This has helped a ton, and what I guess has happened is indeed the degrading of the matting in here means that this came loose, this bolt wasn't doing its job, and so the sow block was wobbling. Question is, how does one replace this rubber matting? Where do you get it from? How do you even lift this thing up to get it out? So we have exposed that matting. It's about 4.5 millimeters thick. It does look quite special. It's presumably got to take a lot of force, and so it's a special type of mat that I'm going to need to order. It is unfortunately the end of December, so everything is shut down for a good another week. But I don't want to just stare at this power hammer in pieces for a week, so we're going to do a little bit of a temporary fix. This is just standard rubber matting, and it is probably not going to last very long, but all we need is for it to last long enough for the actual matting to get in. We've got our bolts in the ground, we've got some chemical anchor setting up. There is one more, there is something else I want to tackle today though. Around back of the machine where the motor sits, you'll see it is on a pivot. And right now it's being held just with its own weight, but that means that it's actually kind of bouncing around there. Have a look when I turn it on. Wowza, look at it! I got this little piece with the power hammer, and it looks like it wants to fit in there. It looks like a slam dunk for the type of mechanism we need. It's threaded up here, it's got these 2 round bits, but I think it's not quite the one we actually want. Let's see if that motor's a little tighter. Oh, yes! So I took a more proper heat on it. and we've got a lot of work to do yet. This key is wrong for this die, so the bottom die comes loose. Can't have these combo dies on here. And I think I'm finding these guides up here are loose. If the top die doesn't need replacing, it definitely needs dressing on these corners. They're too sharp. That's a very easy fix, but it causes these cold shuts when you have corners too sharp on a power hammer die. But there is something very peculiar going on with the way this die is set up. It looks like they've riveted on something to stop the key coming out. So there's some funky stuff going on. We're gonna have to do some serious work on the treadle system. It's been a pleasure having you in the workshop over the last week. Let's thank Squarespace.
Today's sponsor is Squarespace, and I want to show you a lovely website that a viewer and very talented blacksmith made using our Squarespace code. This is Nils Ogren's lovely website. He makes beautiful axes, and he's even got a store on his Squarespace site where you can buy the axes. It's got a beautiful layout, the imagery is fantastic. So thank you, Nils, for using my link and sending me your website. Guys, I really would love you to send me a link to your website anytime you make it. DM me on Instagram. I always love seeing what you guys come up with. I want to highlight some of the new features that Squarespace has now. Squarespace now has a point of sale, which means if you sell in person, like at craft fairs or at a brick and mortar store, as well as online, it means you get all your inventory, all your sales data stuck in one place. You're not having to go find it in all these different parts of your business. You can have connected social media accounts to display posts from your social profiles on your website, or you can automatically push content from your website to your social media profiles. And they've also just launched a members area. So if you want to offer your customers a premium access area of your website, you can do it with Squarespace. I think having a beautiful website is essential whether you are job hunting or whether it is you're trying to grow your business. And it's so easy to get started that I just want you to jump in today because it's incredibly easy, you can do it, and it's incredibly inexpensive. Especially when you can get a free trial at squarespace.com/forge, as well as 10% off your first purchase using code FORGE at checkout. Get started today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.